All right, so if you're a data scientist, chances are you practically live inside Python notebooks, right? They're your sandbox, your lab, really your creative space. But what happens when that amazing thing you've built has to, leave the sandbox and actually work in the real world? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, making that leap from a prototyping mindset to a real, production-ready engineering mindset. So let me just ask you straight up. We all love notebooks, but are you really using them like an engineer? I mean, think about it. This is the question, the one that separates a data scientist from a true ML engineer. It's all about shifting your brain to think beyond just that initial analysis and start prepping your work for what happens next. Okay, first things first. Let's get one thing crystal clear. We are not here to bash on notebooks. No way. In fact, it's the opposite. They are an incredible tool, an absolute powerhouse when it comes to that initial, messy, creative phase of a project. For prototyping, they're basically unbeatable. So what even is a notebook at its core? We all use them, but think about it. It's basically this interactive document, right? It's built on this genius idea of cells. You write some code in a cell, you hit run, and bam, the output just pops up right below it. It could be a number, a table, a crazy-looking visualization, whatever. It's that seamless mix of code, text, and results that just makes it feel so intuitive. And when you put all that together, you get the perfect storm for prototyping. That real-time feedback means you can test ideas instantly, like on the fly. You can explore your data, whip up a quick plot, and see what's what without ever breaking your flow. You're just in the zone. It's a super productive environment, and it even helps you tell a story, documenting your thought process as you move from one step to the next. Okay, but here's the catch. Here's the twist. All those things that make notebooks a paradise for prototyping, well, they turn into some serious headaches when it's time to talk about production. And this is the core challenge we have to solve as we step into that engineering role. And this slide, this really lays it all out, doesn't it? When you're prototyping, it's all about speed, iteration, just trying things out. But in production, the entire game changes. Suddenly, the words you care about are reliability, scalability, maintainability, and reproducibility. A tool that's built for one world just isn't designed for the rules of the other. So let's get specific. Where do they actually fall short? Well, for starters, they just don't play nice with standard dev tools like PyTest for testing or Rough for linting. Then there's version control. That mix of code and output in one file, it's a total nightmare for Git. And here's the big one, the fact that you can run cells out of order. That can hide some really nasty bugs and make your work completely impossible to reproduce. At the end of the day, they just weren't built for creating reusable modular code. Okay, enough doom and gloom about the problems, right? Let's talk about the solution. Because the secret here isn't to just throw away notebooks. No, the secret is to start using them differently, with the end goal in mind, right from the beginning. It all boils down to how you organize your work for that smooth transition. I absolutely love this quote. A well-structured notebook is the blueprint for a robust Python package. This just completely reframes how you should think about it. Your notebook isn't the finished house. It's the detailed architectural blueprint. And if you get that blueprint right from the very start, well, that is the most critical first step you can take towards building professional, scalable software. So what does that blueprint look like? It's all about having a system, a recipe, and this is a great one to follow. 1. Get all your imports and configuration right at the top. Clean and simple. 2. Data loading and pre-processing. 3. Your exploratory analysis. 4. This is the meaty part, feature engineering and modeling. And finally, 5. Save your results and artifacts. If you just follow this simple, logical flow and use clear markdown headers to label each section, your notebook becomes instantly easier to understand, to debug, and, you guessed it, way easier to convert into a Python package down the line. Now, having a clean structure like that flows perfectly into our next topic, something I like to call notebook hygiene. Seriously, getting this right is one of the biggest things that separates a messy data science prototype from a real professional engineering asset. Which brings us to a huge question. One I see trip people up all the time, especially when they're new to using Git with notebooks. So should you save your notebook outputs in your Git repository? All those plots and tables and print statements, should they be committed? The answer is a big, fat, resounding no. Just don't do it. Please, it is probably one of the most common mistakes out there, and it causes so many problems that are just completely avoidable. Let me show you why. Let's break this down, because the why here is super important. First off, version control. All those outputs bloat your repository and make it painfully slow. Then, reproducibility. It gets all messed up. How can you be sure the output you're seeing is from the code that's currently there? You also run a huge risk with confidentiality. You could accidentally commit sensitive data or predictions. Not good. For collaboration, it's a nightmare of pointless merge conflicts. And maybe, worst of all, it completely distracts from what Git is for, which is tracking changes to your code, not the results of your code. All right, so when you put it all together, that clean structure we talked about, plus that good notebook hygiene, you've basically set yourself up perfectly for the final and most important step. This is the end game, moving from just a notebook to a real, honest-to-goodness Python package. And really, this is the key takeaway, the thing I want you to remember. The whole reason we adopt these engineering practices inside our notebooks is to make this next step as painless as possible. Think of your beautiful, organized notebook as the first draft. The real goal, the prize at the end, is that structured, testable, reusable Python package, ready for production. That is the MLOps way. So I'm going to leave you with one last question to think about. Go on, pull up the last notebook you worked on. Be honest with yourself. Is it just a messy scratch pad, or is it a clean, well-structured blueprint? Is your notebook ready to graduate from the sandbox into the real world of scalable production? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.